Shana Tova. There's a Jewish story that you may be familiar with about a woman in Minsk who dreams of a treasure chest full of gold that's buried under a bridge in St. Petersburg. She sells everything she has, her furniture, her clothes, and her heirlooms to travel to the place of buried treasure, many, many miles from her humble home. After weeks of travel, she arrives in St. Petersburg with her dream as her map, and after inquiring with locals, she finds the bridge that she envisioned. She begins digging there for her buried treasure, but to no avail. Exhausted, she lies down to sleep under the bridge. And shortly thereafter, a Russian sentry wakes her up and says, "Excuse me, miss, but you can't sleep under this bridge." When he hears that she's traveled here all the way from Minsk, he asks her why, and she explains, "I'm here looking for the treasure that I dreamt of, that was supposed to be buried under this bridge." The sentry sneers at her and says, "That's ridiculous. That's like me, following my dream of a buried treasure in the home of an old woman from Minsk, under the wood stove. Who believes in dreams like that?" The woman, excited upon hearing the sentry's belligerent retelling of his dream, realizes that perhaps the treasure she has been seeking does indeed lie under the wood stove in her own home. And she rushes back to Minsk, digs under the stove, and lo and behold, she finds her buried treasure. The old woman's dream was a type of map for the buried treasure. However, it was slightly off, maybe by a lot, but even following the wrong dream map, it led her to the right one, where she could find the buried treasure right below her own nose. And so it is with us. The treasure to be discovered, say the holidays, is about discovering who we really are. The treasure is here within us. The treasure is in our Torah. The treasure is the return to God. It's teshuva, return. And even if we have a faulty map, we can have faith, like the woman in the story, that the faulty dream will lead to the right one, that will lead to the buried treasure teeming with jewels, even if the guardians of the old way scoff at us. We must still doggedly seek out life's treasure. So tonight, on this birthday of the world, 5783, let's return to the place of our beginnings, a place that holds within it a treasure, the return to unity, to innocence, and to balance, both earthly and spiritual. Judaism has given us a map that leads us to a mythical place called Eden. It's where our mythical chest of jewels is buried. In many Reformed congregations, the creation story, Genesis 1 and 2, is chanted from the Torah on Rosh Hashanah. The creation story tells us quite a bit about our human nature and the divine reflection in which we are created. You may be aware that there are two stories of the creation of the world in our Torah. The first one tells of the way the divine created the world in 6 days, and Adam on the sixth. And the second tells of the creation of Adam and Eve and their ensuing exile from the garden. Tonight, I want to mine the treasure of just the first story. Why that story? Because that is our heritage's first map of a human. And that human is both earthly and divine, an archetypal rendering of who we can be when we realize our unity and balance in the garden. Today, we all know that our world is frightfully out of balance. We turn on the TV or open the newspaper or walk outside of our neighborhoods or door to witness its disharmony. There's inflation. There are the wars and battles of strongmen, hierarchies, toxic workplaces, theft of all kinds, environmental disasters, greed, big and small, and more souls abandoned to life on the street, to the rapid technological changes of our era that have contributed to an increased sense of personal isolation and alienation. And many of us may feel dizzy and overwhelmed ourselves. We might even be experiencing vertigo right now, or tinnitus. Our backs might be out. I hear a lot about that. Or we have a shoulder injury or knee problem. Or we might just feel a little off-center. We may have experienced a major loss in life, health issues, steeped in grief, or all of the above. We might think the answer to life's problems lies in a life coach or a complicated technique or a therapist, positive thinking, more exercise, and less or fewer chocolate chips. These might work. Yet Judaism, too, offers us empowering guidance for the balance we seek in a lopsided world. It's in our Torah, right below our noses. So please come with me to briefly examine what that first human was like in the map called Eden that might have been read wrong. The first Adam created in the garden, according to biblical scholar Phyllis Tribble and early rabbinic reading of the text, was an ungendered human, containing the complement of opposites. Meaning this first Adam was neither wholly male or wholly female, wholly masculine or wholly feminine. The first Adam was both. And this is what Kabbalists have been talking about for centuries. The rabbis called this Adam an androgen. The Torah says of that creation in Genesis 1:26, and God said, "Let us make Adam in our image, in our likeness." Scripture continues. And God created Adam in his image. In the image of God, God created him. Masculine and feminine, God created them. So I'm going to read that again. And God said, "Let us make Adam in our image, after our likeness." And then says, and God created Adam, in God's image. In the image of God, God created this Adam. Masculine and feminine, God created them. The first earthling, as Tribble calls Adam, whose name literally means earth, has within him both elements, masculine and feminine. And one could even argue as well that there are two beings created here, both perfectly balanced with opposite polarities. They are, or that earthling is, the balance of opposites, which corresponds to the rest of that first story of creation as well. After all, Genesis 1 describes the dualities of nature, the tensions and magnetic pulls of opposites and complements, even as different parts of creation connect and combine to be part and parcel of a larger whole. Earth and sky, sun and moon, land and sea, and all the creatures therein. The earth itself is a giant organism containing ground and water, fire and air. Balanced, it thrives even when the sum of its parts seems so divergent. So should its earthling be. The process of Rosh Hashanah's teshuva, return, can lead us to see that our divergence is a part of a greater harmony. We, the children of God and the children of earth, B'nai Adam, can become whole at any age by balancing the different yet complementary elements we have within us. After all, masculine and feminine, he created them. And as we bring our divergent aspects together within each one of us, we become more balanced, more peaceful, and more fully Adam Rishon, the first Adam. Our Adam ancestor is an earthling who has it all, at least in my imaginary. That being does not yet know about separation. That comes later. That comes in Genesis 3. And this Adam is nurturing and protective, logical and creative, flexible and committed, intellectual and feeling, sensing and intuitive, magnetic and animated, yin and yang, containing within itself the full complement of opposites. That's why Jewish mysticism calls this being Adam Kadmon, the primordial Adam, an earthling that exists throughout all time to this time within us. And that balanced nature also sheds light on the divine map, which we need on this holiday, which is all about returning to God. Because if that first Adam is a full balance of opposites, maybe the divine in whose image that Adam is created is as well. After all, God says, "Let us create Adam in the divine image, after our likeness. There's been much rabbinic discussion on this, and that's for another time, but the us could be the angels. The us could be divine companions or the royal we. But it can also be God's equal counterpart, a feminine complement to the masculine. Maybe God, according to this reading, is not the angry tyrant on a throne that we've already rejected, right? Or a king, or a vengeful patriarch, but like Adam, that first earthling, a unionized being, perfectly balanced between opposite energies, whole, egalitarian, non-hierarchical, a harmonious entity who created us in divine likeness and who, whether we know it or not, is showing us a way to the treasure by leading us back to the garden on this holy day. According to this reading, God is in us. And if we are made in God's image, as the Torah says, then we too carry that perfect complement within us as well. So if we can shift our archetypal understanding of the divine and human to this harmonious, balanced being set in the garden at the very beginning of creation on this birthday, then humanity, all of us, have a chance to be a reflection of this Adam so beautifully described in Torah long ago. And that is true renewal. That is true teshuva. A being in us who can be both heavenly and earthly, nurturing and protective, feeling and logical, intuitive and intellectual, material and spiritual, ethical and sensual, a full human, a balanced earthling, a unionized divine, which demonstrates that the map within the map and the treasure therein can be part of our teshuva, return on the world's birthday and our new year. We will need to read and know more about this primordial Adam and study it so that it lives more fully within us. We can visualize it. We can meditate on it. We can act it out. We can dream about this Adam. Or you can come to my Kabbalah class in November to learn about it, because the rabbis have been talking about it for centuries, because we need to know it to know our true nature. And we can breathe into that treasure so that it becomes a real and balanced energy within us, not a dream, no matter our physical or material circumstances. The treasure is innocence, it's ethics, it's beauty, it's harmony, it's balance, it's love, and it's more. It's yet to be discovered by you and by all of us. It's our tradition's buried chest of gold to be found in the metaphysical place we belong, in the Garden of Eden. So let's get back there together in this new year of 5783. Back to the garden. Shana Tova.